Okay, well, on that topic, the other manager you think of who's currently in the Premier League who does seem to improve players would be Pep Guardiola. And what he's had as an impact within the Premier League from, well, it wasn't a great first season for him at all. Didn't win any trophies. And obviously the second and third season, back-to-back Premier League titles in style as well, I should add. But that crest of the wave, which Liverpool are on right now, not the first season. Second season. That crest of a wave, if Liverpool are here, City are on the downside. I mean, what did you make of the news, considering they could miss out in Europe, pending on the appeal for 2 seasons?
Well, I think it'll only hurt them with signing players. That's about it, really. I don't think the financial gain of them missing out the Champions League is really going to hurt the billionaire owner, to be honest with you. I think the money is...
players, signing players, and the manager. Let's not forget, his future seems to be up in the air currently.
Well, that's probably the biggest thing. That there's the top players want to play in the Champions League. They want to play in the Premier League. They want to play in the Champions League. And that will hinder them in certain and bring them in. I've got no doubt there'll be some sort of appeal coming very shortly off Man City. So we'll wait and see how that falls out. But as I said, as a football club, they'll still attract top players. They can play top dollar. They can bring whoever they want in, to be honest. And I think people will know that they're a club that's still on the rise.
Well, I think the big issue is the amount of players that need replacing. That they seem to need to rebuild, particularly at the back. Particularly with Aguero now. He's getting on a little bit. I know he's still scoring plenty of goals, but he's, 32 now? You think that the full-back position seems to be an issue? Signing for Company, who they never really replaced. The centre-backs really haven't convinced. They've had to play Fernandinho in that position so frequently this season. There's a lot of issues.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, we sort of bring Jurgen Klopp into it because there is the comparison made. I mean, we're looking at a Liverpool side who have gone through and improved players remarkably. I think with Manchester City, there's a lot of big spending going on. Not that Liverpool haven't spent some money, let's be true.
Net spend, though, is a big difference.
Yeah. Well, you
can say that they had bad ones in the building they need to get out, can you, to be honest with the Liverpool thing. So that's the difference.
Well, Coutinho was a big one.
Well, exactly,
Addison and Van Dijk.
But they've definitely spent money. That's one thing you can say.
But they've also made the improvement. I think that's key. I mean, Van Dijk, as good as he is, he hasn't played as well as he's played under with Liverpool in the past, I don't think. I think with Man City, the Champions League thing, depending on if it's going to be 2 years, whether it's going to be appealed, whether it turns to 1 year, as you say, bringing players in, Pep having won twice, and then this season being, way, in his standards, way off.
Way off, yeah.
You know, Liverpool might be remarkable this season, but no one's anywhere near them. Do players want to sign for a side next couple of years knowing there's no Champions League football? Does Manchester City's competition change because they are only focused on the Premier League and not having to worry about Europe? You know, is that going to affect the Premier League with regards to the quality that Manchester City are doing?
And the same thing as well. It could be the other side. We always tend to look at everything as a negative. You just said it there that they've gone down. Liverpool's done this. Man City's been up there and thing. It could be a blessing in disguise for the Champions League thing. They could take that as a jolt to go, look, this is what we've done, this is what we need to sort out, and this is where the next progression of the football could be.
Well, there's that knock-on effect, though, because if they're not in the Champions League for 2 seasons, the number being bandied around is up to £170 million. Now, I know money's not an issue for them because they're not in debt, but they still need to balance the books, which is exactly why they're in this predicament right now.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
and now players, you probably have to pay more in wages. If I said to you, oh, Manchester United and Manchester City after you, United have got Champions League football, City don't. City probably have to pay more in wages.
Well, you look at interesting you mentioned Manchester United because they have one of the highest wage bills, if not the highest in the Premier League.
Because
and they may not have Champions League football. So, you know, they could be in their own problems because of that.
And that's the same thing. You look at Chelsea. Look, they got the ban, they got the transfer ban. They're now talking about how well Chelsea's doing, Frank, with bringing all the young kids through, and it's now made them look back in. We talked a few years ago, we were talking about Chelsea having 40 players out on loan. Now most of the good lads who are on loan are now in the team. Yeah. So it could be a blessing inside for Man City, because we do know for a fact they have got some fantastic kids underneath, and it might be a case that they might have to dip in there a little bit and see where they go with that.
Then you question whether Pep would be happy with that, and whether he would.
Will he be there is the question.
That's it. That's it.
It's $1 million question, isn't it?
What do you reckon? Predictions. Do you reckon he'll be there at the end of the season? Or start of next season, sorry?
I think he will be. I think he's not the kind of person just to go out. He won't want to leave here, and Liverpool have romped it by so many points, and they've not. I think it all depends on the Champions League to me. Whatever happens in the Champions League this season will dictate what happens to Pep Guardiola for next year.
If they win it,
I think if they win it, he might just look and go, look, I've done my job. I've won the Premier League. I've done that. I've won the Champions League, and that's me off. I think if he doesn't win it and they haven't won the Premier League, I think he might just go, right, I'm going to have another go here.
Well, I think the difficulty he's going to have if they don't win it this year is that potentially a 2-year ban, then he's not going to be doing it for 3 consecutive. Well, he hasn't done it before, but there will be 3 years where he won't have done it.
I'm kind of thinking about in my head, if they win it and they're not in it the year after, and then Liverpool in it, how many spaces are we getting down the bottom? We could end up being Sheffield United, could definitely be in there, and then Chris Wilder would get manager of the year, like we said at the start.
Not if Liverpool win it and retain. Anyway, there's so many. But going back to the Pep situation, I mean, you know, he had a year out, didn't he? Had a sabbatical. So there's an argument that he could do that again. He's
and come out when they have Champions League football.
We're talking about. I think we've got 2 of the best managers in Europe, in Pep Guardiola and Jurgen Klopp. In Jurgen Klopp, we've got the best manager in the world. Highly intelligent. He will have an idea of what the problems are with Manchester City. He obviously can't resolve their problems at the moment with regards to challenging for Liverpool. But whether or not in the next 2 years he's in a position, or the club are in a position, to actually do anything about it. Because he doesn't want to be managing Man City finishing 3rds and 4ths. He wants to be winning leagues. Even if he can't get in the Champions League, being the best team in England would suffice, you would argue. But
it's one of them things, though. We've talked about Man City before. We talked about Mbappe at the start of the season coming into Liverpool and this, that and the other. And I think we're all well aware, if Man City want to bring Mbappe into the football club, he could get his chequebook out, sign him, give them whatever wages he wants, and he'll walk into Man City, and the money he'll be getting, he could probably allow himself Champions League football being out of it for 1 year.
Yeah, well, depends how PSG do as well in the Champions League themselves. They might win it, you never know. And if Pep does leave, so looking at management,
well,
you played for City.
I was looking to sign up for one of these 2 teams. Even Norwich. No, nothing.